This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social. Delighted to be joined here today by Frank Warren. Been a while since I've seen you, Frank. How are you?
I'm fine, Rob. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. All the better for seeing you, as always.
Well, that's what all the girls say.
Just called me a girl, but we'll carry on there. Thanks for having me down at the office today. Let's start off with a heavyweight title fight, WBC World Heavyweight title fight you got coming up on December the 1st. Well, not you, but Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder.
Well, we are, we're promoting it with Al Heyman. It's a fantastic fight. Obviously, Tyson. I think it's the most meaningful heavyweight fight that's been on for God knows how long now. And it's a proper fight. It's what it's all about. It's the undefeated fighting the undefeated lineal champion against the BC champion. Tyson's been training really, really hard for this fight. He's full of confidence. And we're 12 days away from it now, so we're all looking forward to it. I'm certainly am, and I think we're going to see, obviously, a lot of publicity leading up to the fight. BT have thrown a lot of weight behind it for this pay-per-view that they're doing, and everywhere you look, you're going to see him. You're going to see Tyson Fury's face out there, and I'm hoping on December the 2nd we see Tyson Fury's face with a belt above his head.
Tell me about the process of making the fight. Seems like only yesterday I was sat in this office speaking to you on the phone about whether it would be done, whether it would not be done. We're now 12 days away. Tell me about the process of the kind of the will it, won't it to the right round the corner.
Well, I think that between the two teams, the two promotional parties, and certainly working with Shelley Finkel on the matter, it was always it's on. It was a matter of getting the contract signed. And lawyers going between each other sometimes takes longer than it takes to make the fight. But it was always on, and it was on because both fighters wanted it. And I've said it many times, if the guys want to fight each other, it's not difficult to do. Wilder wanted a meaningful fight, and Tyson wanted a meaningful fight. So there you go. That's how you make a meaningful fight. Put them both in there, roll the dice, and the winner will win.
Now, you're somebody who's seen your fair share of boxing matches, I hope you don't mind me saying. I don't think enough time has necessarily been spent actually talking about the fight. I think this fight has come along with a lot of politics and a lot of this fight, that fight, other fight, but this is a really interesting style matchup. Tell me about the fight.
Look, it's about styles and fights, and it was an amazing thing. I was reading what Herm was saying about, this is going to be a terrible fight. Tyson Fury's never been in a decent fight. He bores everybody to death. He fought Whyte-Chisora a couple of years ago on my show and done an absolute job on Whyte-Chisora. A magnificent performance. Won every second and won every round and stopped Whyte-Chisora in the end. He had to be pulled out of the fight. And then obviously went into the other guy's backyard in Klitschko and won the title. Tyson is a good fighter. He can fight, he can stand and trade with you, he's got a great boxing brain, he's an exponent of the art of boxing, which is to be hit and not be hit. And he's in with a guy who, if he hits you, he normally takes you out. He walks forward, he's very unorthodox, I think he's a better fighter than people think he is. He's got tremendous speed, like Tyson, they've both got speed, and I think we're going to be in for it. I really do think this is going to be a very, very intriguing fight. I see Tyson actually taking the fight to him. That's where I think it's going to be because, is he faster than him? And he is a fast heavyweight Tyson. He can switch. He can go southpaw or orthodox. But is he? I think this guy matches him. Wilder, that is. I think matches him with speed. So he's going to have another plan. But he's got a great boxing brain, and I just think we are going to be in for something, which I hope is going to be a little special. When I'm reading some of the things that the other guy's saying, I just it's beyond me. I mean, it's a fight. It's a good fight. It's a quality fight. It's the fight that his man would not take. Anthony Joshua would not take Wilder. My man, 2 fights, he's in there and he's on it. That's where he's at. So stop talking about us. Worry about that fight you're putting on between, what's his name, Whyte-Chisora and Dylan Whyte. And let us get on with our fight because we've got a good show. It's a cracking show. It's got a cracking undercard. It'll be a great fight. And it's a great night for British boxing. It's guys who want to fight each other. It's the best fighting the best. It's the undefeated fighting the undefeated. That's what boxing's about.
Let's just talk back on the style matchup. You mentioned Tyson's skills, his speed, his unorthodoxity. Do you think that his punching power is underrated? I think he's got 21 knockouts in 26 fights or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But, I mean, he's a 6'9", 18-stone fella. He can punch, right?
Well, he's going to have roughly a 3-stone weight advantage anyway over Wilder. Can he punch? You just said what he can do. Of course he can punch. Big guys like that, if they catch you on the chin, you go. Wilder takes a good punch. When he fought, I think it was Ortiz for the title, he got clipped a few times in that fight, and he's a big puncher, and he took the punches. But Tyson is a guy that is methodical. The jabs in your face all the time. He doesn't let you off the hook. There's always something coming from him, whether it's a jab, whatever it may be, and then he can let those shots go when he needs to. The fact is, if he plants his feet in the centre of the ring, and they do go toe to toe, if that scenario happens, who lands first? Who catches who? Who knows what's going to happen? Tyson's got a good chin. Good chins are about fighters who get off the floor. He's been on the floor, got off the floor. He's very difficult to hit. That's what the good thing about him. He is difficult to catch. His defence is quite unorthodox. He tucks his chin under his shoulder. He's got very long legs. He leans back, so he takes momentum out of punches. I think that I really do fancy him for this fight. And why I fancy him? Because he fancies it. He's been looking good in sparring. He's happy. He's content. So hopefully now we're going to get a result out of it. It's not going to be easy. He's come back with two fights on a comeback trail. They were what they were. We're not going to kid anyone. There were 2 fights that he had, 2 knockover jobs, but he's back now and he's come back. It's the acid test. Now he's in there and see what he's got. He's not an old man. He's just turned 30. He's not got miles on the clock. It's not like he's been involved in wars. He's been dragged down into the trenches because he's been too smart for anybody to do that to him. So I think, for me, he's got a tremendous, tremendous chance of bringing that title back to the UK.
Now, you mentioned the fights with Safiri and Pianetta. As you say, not the most testing fights of all time, I think it's fair to say. In an ideal world, I think Tyson can be commended for taking the fight against Wilder with just those 2 fights in 2.5 years. But in an ideal world, would you have had another fight leading into the Wilder fight?
I think, in an ideal world, you let him have another 6 fights. That's the truth of the matter. He would do, but we don't live in an ideal world. And the fact of the matter is, he wanted it. And and everybody, this is what really annoys me. People say to you, "Oh, he's only fighting the bum. He's only fighting this. He's only fighting that guy. He's nothing." Well, then we put him in with somebody. We put him in with a world champion. Oh, he shouldn't be in there. Make your mind up, people. You want to see him fight someone or not? That's what we're doing. We've made the fight. And it's not the end of the world if he got beat. I don't believe he will get beat, but it's not the end of the world. It depends if he lost, how he lost. And it's the same for Wilder. If he gets beat, it's not the end of the world for him. It depends how the fight pans out. It might be a very close decision. It might be a controversial decision. It might be a rematch. It might be a trilogy. Who knows what's going to happen? One thing's for sure, people will be watching it. You know why they'll be watching it? Because Tyson Fury, whenever he's in a fight, there is always something happening. There's always something around the fight. He turns it into a fight. He makes the fights. He makes you want to watch the fights. That's what he does. That's what he's very, very good at doing. And he's a very bright guy. He's a very astute boxing historian. He's a very astute scholar of boxing. And he genuinely believes, like I do, that his style will have the beating of Wilder.
A few eyebrows have been raised lately with the addition of Freddie Roach to his team. Cutman. Don't think I've ever seen Freddie Roach as a cutman. Tell me about your kind of view on Freddie Roach joining Ben Davison in the corner on fight night.
Well, look, they've been working in the gym. They've got a good relationship, and he's got massive experiences. Freddie Roach. He's one of the most respected coaches in the world, and he has worked on cuts and so forth. It just adds strength to the team. I'm really pleased for that. And if Tyson wants him in the corner, then have him in the corner. Ben's done a tremendous job. He's got him in tremendous shape. He is where he's at. Anything you can add to your armoury to help you can only be beneficial to you. It can only give you more peace of mind. And to come back to that corner when he comes back there and having, Ben, who's a young guy, and let's get it right, not had a tremendous amount of experience in professional boxing, but done a great job up to yet. So have Freddie on the team as well. That's terrific. You've got an old head there as well, with a young guy who's looking to be the new kid on the block. So them two working together is a great combination, and obviously it's beneficial to Tyson, and I'm pleased about it. And I think Ricky's working in the corner as well. So you've got Ricky Hatton, so you've got some good experience there with him, and you've got the guy who he's built this tremendous rapport with in Ben. Look at the weight he's lost and the shape he's in. This time last year, he was like the guy sitting on the top of the Michelin X fans. And look at him now. He's in shape. He's cut. He's on it.
What was, to your knowledge, the reason for Tyson's change from Big Bear to the wild card? Seemed to be quite dramatic and quite a quick change. Do you have any idea what was behind that? Why the relocation?
I think it just come down because they're at high altitude. They come down to sea level, to the level where the venue's taking place. That's what he wanted to do, and he's happy. I don't care where he trains as long as he's happy. If he was up on the moon and they brought him back down, long as he's happy, because if he's mentally there, that's the most important thing. And he is mentally there. And we've had all these, various stories going around. He knocked this guy out in sparring and knocked that. Why would you, if you knock someone out, want to then go down, want to change where you're training from? It's nothing to do with that. They decided they wanted to pack up and they wanted to move. And I get that. And I've spoken to him on the phone. I've spoken to Ben, Tim in the camp. They're all in a good place. So that suits me fine. And long may it continue for the next 11 days before the fight.
What's the plan for after the fight, all being well? I won't be as brazen as to ask you about a rematch because you won't tell me. But is the plan after that potentially Anthony Joshua in 2019 for Tyson, all being well?
Until we see the outcome of the fight, we can't really... I'm not even thinking that far ahead, to be quite honest. This is a very crucial day for everybody involved on the 1st of December, and it's great, and a crucial day for British boxing. If Tyson comes through, be in a great position to be able to sit there and consider where we're at. But it depends how the fight is. You may want to fight, Wilder again. May want a rematch. It depends. We'll see where we are with it.
How are ticket sales for the fight? Seen some stuff online that potentially the tickets aren't selling as well as people thought. Just wondered if you had any update on that, if whether you had anything to say on those rumours.
Well, I've got to be honest, we've taken a lot of people from here of going over there. There's been a tremendous interest from the British people, and I understand they're going well. Al Heyman's office told us that they're doing extremely well, so we're pleased with that. Again, that comes from one source all the time. If I was them, I'd be wondering how many tickets I've sold for Andrade, how many tickets I sold for Daniel Jacobs. Let's worry about those shows. Let us worry about our shows, and he should worry about his shows.
With regards to ticketing and such like, is it kind of Al Heyman Showtime? Are they responsible for sort of the ticket sales and?
They're responsible for all of that. We're joint promoters with them, but we're promoters we're in association because we deliver the British end of it. So that's where we're at. We've got a couple of British fighters that are on the card. So it's obviously to beef up the pay-per-view in the UK. But that's their job. I'm pleased it is their job, to be quite honest. We have enough promoting our own shows. But, our own shows that we're responsible for the ticket sales. But that's down to them to do.
With that being said, another rumour that has come out and surfaced online is tickets emerging on resale websites such as StubHub, and I think Voucher doing deals on there. Again, is that something that you're privy to, or is that something that you have any knowledge of?
None whatsoever.
Okay. Anthony Yard fighting on the undercard on December the 1st. Tell me a little bit about that, how the process came along for him being added to the card. I think I read a quote attributed to my friend Tunde Ajayi, who said he deserves it after the year he's had. Is that how he came to pass to be on that card?
No, he came to be on that card because we wanted to put him on the card. As simple as that. Tunde obviously feels it. Well, I didn't see that quote. Whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, wanted him on there. So he's got, he's a high-profile boxer, and it adds to the pay-per-view, and it's a great experience for him to be fighting in the States again. It's his second fight over there.
What sort of opponent are you looking at for Yard to be boxing there? He's been added to the card quite late, so would that be an inclination of the type of level of opponent he's going to box? I understand he's not on the televised broadcast.
It will be televised in the UK.
Oh, right.
So his fight will be shown on the UK broadcast. We're working on that at the moment, the opponent, 'cause obviously it was done last week. There's a couple of guys there, and I'm happy with it, and everybody will be happy with the opponent.
Moving away from Wilder Fury, December the 12th.
Joe Joyce is on the card.
Joe Joyce is on the card. I tell you what, you're better off doing my job than I am. Joe Joyce is on the card, as is Luis Ortiz.
Joe Joyce is on the card.
Joe
Joyce.
Joe Joyce is on the card, as is Luis Ortiz and Jarrett Hurd for Jason Wellman. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that undercard?
They've got it's a good undercard, as you say. Joe's on there. He's done well. He's moved over. I think he's had a few fights now in the States on Al Heyman shows, so he's on there. So Brits will get to see him. Luis Ortiz, another heavyweight that we mentioned earlier, who fought in the past against Wilder. He's on it. So there's it's a pretty heavy hitting card.
We've just mentioned Joe Joyce. We were going to come on to this later, but it's a nice little segue into it. Joe Joyce was mandated by British Boxing Board of Control recently to fight Hughie Fury for the British title. As I understand, you don't have anything to do with either fighter, but you do have something to do with Nathan Gorman and Daniel Dubois, who were mandated to face each other in an eliminator. Just your thoughts on that?
No, it's for the English title.
Was it for the English?
Yeah, I mean, so...
And so that's twice you've corrected me.
They might as well, see that bit of paper they sent to us, they might as well just put that down the toilet. How stupid can anyone even think about putting that fight out for these two guys at the stage of their career? It's just not going to happen. I won't let it happen. Don't let anybody else. I'm not letting it happen.
Do you think with those kind of, these circulars that are sent around with the British Boxing Board of Control, by all accounts they've mandated a lot of fights that don't really appear reasonable? Do you think they need to have a look at what they're mandating and how they're mandating it?
No, they need to pick up the phone to the people who are involved in the fighter's career that they're making these fights for. I mean, they're not matchmakers. That's our job. When they're making fights like this, wouldn't it make it simple to just pick up the phone and say, Frank, do you want to put in your man? Do you want to put Nathan Gorman in with Daniel Dubois now in a 10-round English title fight now, or would you much rather that be a massive fight next year? What would you much rather do? Where the guys this time round will earn whatever it is, and next time round they'll probably earn 10 times the amount. And then you know what the answer would be. Why even waste the time of that and then hold up the title for another month before they have to think about who they're going to put back in there again? That's not going to happen. When those two guys fight, it's going to be for a meaningful title at the stage of their career. It's just senseless. It's senseless to even put that out. And I don't know whether, and I'm not sure whether Joe Joyce is going to fight Hughie Fury. Maybe he will. I don't know. Has he already said no? I don't know. But whether they do or they don't, I've got no idea. You have to ask them that question.
I think by all accounts, Hughie Fury's just boxed for the world title. Joe Joyce, I think, is looking, with all due respect to the British title, past that at this stage of his career. With that being said, if, for argument's sake, the British title was mandated for Gorman versus Dubois, is that a fight that you'd be interested in?
I don't know yet, but it's not. I don't want to do it yet. I don't want to make that fight at all. Either of them can fight for the British title. I've got no problem with that, but I don't want them two fighting each other. When they get in that ring, I want that to be in front of 25, 30,000 people, full house, a really fight that's been built up into be a massive event where both of them are going to get significant purses because they're both capable of moving forward in that division. They're both capable to get to a situation where they can monetize their talent, and it's stupid to be doing that now. It's senseless.
Josh Warrington versus Frampton, 22nd of December, IBF World Featherweight title in Manchester. Again, similar to the Fury Wilder fight, it's a fight that's not really been discussed. It's more been the politics around it. Tell me about that fight first of all.
Well, first of all, on the 22nd, we announced our date quite a while ago. We made what I call in this business a meaningful fight, a meaningful match between two guys at the top of their game. A fight that people want to see. Everybody in the trade loves the fight. It's a real fight. It's not just, it's not recycling. It's a real, proper fight. And you're going to see a good fight. You've got an undefeated guy in Josh Warrington who beat Selby, who nobody, well, except for me and maybe a couple others, and Josh himself and his dad, nobody thought he would win it. He won it in style. And you've got Frampton, who's really hit some form now. And beat Donaire. Look what Donaire's just done. So Donaire's champion again, isn't he? So you look at the form line of these guys. This is a proper British fight between two British fighters, world-class fighters. I'm talking about guys who are world-class, who are ranked within the top 3 or 4 in the world. World-class fighters. That's what we've got on. We've got the meaningful fight. Let's be honest, his own promoter said on, was it IFL? I think it was back in August 2017, Chisora Whyte is not a pay-per-view fight. It's not a good enough standard for a pay-per-view fight. But what they're doing, recycling them, bang, they put it on for a pay-per-view fight.
Do you think there needs to be a greater transparency between promoters? For example, in this instance with yourself and Eddie Hearn, to make sure this doesn't happen and doesn't affect fans in the future?
Well, how transparent can you be by announcing a fight that we're putting on? How many months before they announced theirs? It's not transparency. It wasn't a secret we were putting it on, was it? It's not transparency. It's pure what they were in their stupid world that they're in. Where they're getting off it, I don't know. It's called they're trying to sabotage our pay-per-view show. It's as simple as that. That's all it is. There's no transparency about it. We announced a date. We announced a date a long time before they announced their fight. It was on sale a long time before they put their fight on sale. That's what they chose to do. So be it. That's what it is. It's wrong for the fans. It's disrespectful for the boxers. If boxers are taking a percentage of the pay-per-view, they're getting percentages of how much it generates. Even if, like he says if he loses 50,000 subscribers, that's 50,000 less percentages that his two boxers are getting. If he thinks he's going to lose the 50,000, whatever happens, we will both lose money because people can't afford to buy two fights on the same night. And I'm just using a hypothetical number. If there were 500,000 people who were going to buy one fight, and 250 buy one and 250 buy the other, or 3 buy one and 2 buy the other, you both lost money. So what is the sense of that? It's just total senselessness. All it is to sabotage the pay-per-view on BT. And if they think that's going to bother us, then they definitely barked up the wrong tree there. We've been down this road many times before, and we will continue. We're not pulling our show. Our show's on. It's going well, and I can't emphasise enough. It's a fight. It's a real fight, a proper fight, a fight between world-class fighters. That's what it is.
Just a last word on the clash. Eddie Hearn said to Boxing Social's Andy Purow in a great interview that he did that he'd be open to doing a potentially staggered run time wherein fans were able to watch Whyte-Chisora 2 and then Warrington-Frampton afterwards. Is that something that you've heard of in the past or something that you'd potentially be interested in?
Wouldn't it have been more sensible to have a staggered date time? Who cares about whether the fight's going to be on one's on an hour and one's on an hour later? No, we're not. We have shows on. That's it. We're not playing to anybody's fiddle. We're on. I'm no interest in that. The only staggered thing it should have been was another date. Because I've got to tell you something. If we'd announced the date on the 22nd of December, I would not have been putting my two guys on that night. It just would not have happened. I would not have allowed it to happen because it's disrespectful to their earning capacity. I would not have done it. So all that bullshit about staggering hours when fans can watch it. If you had any respect for the fans, it wouldn't be on the same night. End of story.
Back to the fight itself. Carl Frampton, Josh Warrington, great fight, a lot closer fight than many people would have said it was 18 months ago. Wouldn't be as brazen as to ask you for a prediction, but who do you think's got the edge going into the 22nd?
I really do think there's a great case for both the fighters. That's why I'm emphasising what a good fight it is. Josh Warrington, I always thought was a really good fighter, and he certainly proved that in his last few fights, and he's got himself in a position where he is. He's in that world-class mix. Carl's last 2 performances have been exceptional as well, so I think it's one of them. You get your coin, you spin it in the air, and wherever it lands, it could go either way. That's what's so intriguing about this fight. And you know it's going to be a good fight because you know the way these two guys fight. It's going to be all action, a fast-paced fight. That's what it's going to be. They ain't going to throw tables over. They're not going to make out they hate each other. They're not going to do all this shit. And at the end of the day, someone gives them a watch for throwing a table over because it helped ticket sales. We're not doing none of that. This stands up on its own of being a true, meaningful fight.
Moving on to the undercard, December the 22nd. Great fight announced recently. Mark Heffron versus Liam Williams. Tell me about that fight. Came out of the sort of the blue for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, unfortunately Metcalf was injured and he's out the fight, so we had to come up with something that was really good. And Liam needs a meaningful fight. Mark just wants Mark will fight anybody, as we know. He's come out and said that for weeks now. And Liam's decided to come up and wait and take that challenge. So it's another great fight. It's a fantastic, proper, quality fight on the undercard. A great fight for the fans to watch. And they're both competitors. That they're both bangers. So again, I think you're going to see something a little bit special with those two.
How pleasing is it for you to get a fight for Mark Heffron, somebody who's been desperate for a fight for a long time now, something that we've spoken about in the past? He's now got a good opportunity against a good fighter in Liam Williams on a good show. Well,
he has. I mean, Liam's, as I say, we've seen Liam in action over the years he's with me, and he's had some fantastic fights. Mark, he's probably one of the most avoided fighters in the country, there's no doubt about it. But he's not now. Now he's got a fight, and that's going to be, and it just will be a great fight. That again, it's going to be great atmosphere. He sells a lot of tickets in the Manchester area. Liam's taken a truckload of tickets for his Welsh supporters, so you're going to get some great atmosphere there.
Let's just talk about that atmosphere. Leeds fans, Belfast fans, it's going to be quite a night on the 22nd.
Well, they're very passionate, aren't they? You know, both boxers have very passionate fans. You see them, the last two fights, both in stadiums, fantastic nights, and you can imagine them trying to out-cheer each other. You know, they're going to get behind their guys, and as I say, as the fight starts, as the action hots up, they're going to get really into it. I think you're going to get a very atmospheric situation there on the night.
Something that Josh Warrington tweeted about with we've got Michael Conlan on the card, you've got Paddy Barnes on the card. I think it was rather tongue-in-cheek, so we might as well have done it in Belfast. Is there any element of that for him? He's kind of now, through the addition of these Irish fighters to the card, kind of in the away corner. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think what we tried to do is obviously, you know, we got fighters that we promote. You know, some Irish fighters, we've got British fighters, Irish fighters, Northern Ireland fighters. They're just putting a show together and giving it some interest. You know, the guys are travelling. There's a lot of guys coming from Belfast. Give them a bit more interest. You know, bring some more people over. That's what we want to turn it into, we want to turn it into a bowl. You know, Josh took another 1,000 tickets last week. So, you know, he don't do bad himself. It's going to be great.
I've just mentioned him, Michael Conlan. I actually caught up with Michael Conlan in Manchester. He said that he's looking forward to the show. It's a great fight, and he's got one eye on Josh Warrington if Josh Warrington is to be successful.
Listen, these fights are not difficult to make with us. It's just pushing an open door. They're fights that can be made. That is not a problem.
With Michael Conlan, how much pressure on him does he first of all put on himself, and obviously with Adam Booth, who's somebody who's notorious for pushing his fighters quickly? How much pressure is on him to get him in these meaningful fights into the new year as he gets closer to world title level?
Well, he's promoted by top rank. You know, Bob Arum obviously wants to get him into a stage where he'll be in a meaningful fight, and his management, MTK, want to do the same thing. So at the end of the day, that'll happen. You know, when he fights over here, we're pleased that he's on our cards. It's great that he gets, you know, he fights when he, as I say, on them. He's a tremendous talent, and I'm quite sure next year he'll be stepping up in a world title fight.
Heard some rumours about Billy Joe Saunders potentially being added to the card on December the 22nd. I don't know if you can tell me anything on that.
I can't tell you anything at the moment on that. At the moment, nothing as far as Bill's concerned at the moment.
How is Billy Joe Saunders? Been a while since I've heard anything out of him.
Well, he's obviously very disappointed. He was put in a very awkward position by Massachusetts with their ruling. It was just a crazy ruling. They didn't follow their own regulations. Their any hearings appertaining to drugs are supposed to be under WADA and the American anti-doping agency, and they didn't do that. And had they done that, Bill would have defended his title. And looking at the fight and hadn't seen the fight with Andrade, I'm quite sure he'd have come away with his belt that night. But it happened. It is where it is. He has made an appeal, and he will be taking action against them. You've got to go for a process. He's appealed it, and then we'll be issuing proceedings if he doesn't get satisfied.
But there is sort of an active plan on getting him back in the ring. I know the last time I spoke to you, it was it was very soon after the event, and it was quite up in the air whether or not we would even see him in the ring again.
Well, you know, I spoke to him the other day. He's up in Sheffield and he's been training, so he's still got the flavour. And whatever happens, he'll be in action next year. If he wants to fight this year, that's not a problem either.
Just clear something up with regards to his ban. Is he just banned from WBO contests and he can fight under other jurisdictions?
The British Boxing Board, he is licensed by the British Boxing Board, and he can fight. The WBO have to follow a commission that banned him. They have to do that. They've got no other way it is, because they don't have the drug hearing. The drug hearing took place the disciplinary drug hearing took place in Massachusetts, and they have to follow their decision. So that's the position. But Bill is allowed to fight. He's licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control. He can fight tomorrow if he wanted to.
Do you think, as Billy Joe when he does eventually make that comeback, when he gets in and around world title contention, slippery southpaw, good hand speed, good foot speed, and under all intents and purposes failed a doping ban, is it going to be difficult for him to manoeuvre himself back into world title contention?
No, not at all. That's my job. And there's a lot of sympathy with Bill. I mean, Bill's done some stupid things, as we know this year, some stupid things. But as far as this situation with the drugs, it's just there's a lot of sympathy with him. I mean, even the Wilder people, I think, had sympathy towards him That's a nasal spray. That's what it is. It's no matter what anybody says. That's what it is. VADA's drug list is banned. They ban every single thing. Everything, anything you take, is on a banned list. And that's where we're at. But he's not, as I say, UCAD, which is which is what the British Boxing Board of Control use their services. They do, as do athletics, football. Everybody uses UCAD in this country, and they have their specific list of what's in what they call in tournament, in competition, and out of competition. And he was out of competition.
Is the Martin Murray fight a potential fight for him? As I understand it, Martin Murray's got himself a fight to announce on the undercard on the 22nd. But is the Martin Murray-Billy Joe Saunders a fight that would interest you for the new year?
Martin's fighting on the 22nd. He's fighting against Hassan Nadam, defending his WBC silver belt. It's virtually an eliminator, really, for a world title. So he'll be fighting for a world title next year, whatever happens. Provided he wins, he's got to beat Nadam. And Nadam's a good fighter, so that again is a cracking fight.
Nathan Gorman also returns to action on December the 22nd on the Warrington-Frampton undercard. As I understand it, you've got an opponent to announce.
Yeah, he's fighting Alex Leopai. It's for a WBC international title. I think Martin's ranked number 2 now, and I think that'd be virtually an eliminator for the title. It's Leopai's got a good pedigree. It'll be a good fight for Nathan at this stage of his career. I think Leopai fought Klitschko, didn't he, a while ago? So it's good. It's a good testing fight for him.
Now, you've obviously seen Daniel Dubois recently in the ring with Kevin Johnson. Now you've got Nathan Gorman in the ring with Alex Leopai. Kind of suggests to me that potentially you are looking further afield in domestic titles for those two. Is that right?
Well, we're just looking for both of them to get experience. They're both very young men. I mean, they're not old fighters, are they? These are young guys. Daniel will be fighting on the 15th of December. We've talked to 2 guys at the moment, and hopefully we'll have that over the line today with one of them who he's going to fight. Looking to step him up again and put him in a meaningful fight. He had quite a learning fight last time round with Cunningham, who's for me was always going to come to survive. He's always an awkward guy to fight, and it was a good learning fight for him. It's one of those fights where he couldn't catch him clean. He tucked up well, and it made him think. And obviously since then. He's gone away, he's looked at the fight, he's looked at the film, he's looked at the footage, and it's good for him to be involved in that type of fight. So now he's on the 15th, as I say, and he'll be against a decent opponent. We're stepping him up again, and hopefully he'll come through it. We've got a really good card on that day.
So this past weekend, Maurice Hooker defended his title against Alex Saucedo. I'm sure Jack Cattrall would have been an interested observer, as would have you.
I swear to God, he texted me saying, when can I fight him? And we will obviously push the WBO now for that to happen. We want that fight. That's what Jack's all about. He's another one. He's never turned down anybody, has he, Jack? He'll fight anyone, and that's good. So we'll get him out again, and we'll get him out. He'll fight in the new year, and hopefully we can get the WBO to force the issue.
With Maurice Hooker being on DAZN, you've obviously got the existing deal with ESPN Plus. Maurice Hooker is with Matchroom. Yeah. Jack is with you. I know you see where I'm going with this. Is there any issue with getting that fight made?
Well, if it's ordered by the WBO, then there shouldn't be any problems at all. We go to the purse officer, we'll do a deal. But I want it for my man. I fancy my man to beat Maurice Hooker. I thought he's a quality operator. Terry Flanagan, I thought was very unlucky in that fight. I thought it was just about won it, Maurice Hooker, but it was a very close fight. And Jack wanted the winner of that one. We was keeping our fingers crossed it was going to be Terry, and him and Jack up in Manchester would have been a great fight. But anyway, he'll be in there. Jack will be in there, and Jack wants to fight, and we want to fight for him.
While we're hovering around the subject, Ahara Davis has been, I don't want to say the old Ahara Davis, but I've seen some tweets in the last 24 to 36 hours that suggest that he's potentially not happy at the minute. What update can you give me on Ahara Davis? Return to the ring anytime soon?
In the new year. He's not happy. He got beat, and that's boxing. I'm sure he's not happy. He wants to be a winner. He's got a winner's mentality, but he got beat, and that's the fact of life. So he's got to get himself back into contention. There's good fights for him to be made in the new year, and we'll make some for him.
Okay, well, any more for any more? You've done my job for a lot of this interview, so why don't you try it now?
I've done quite a bit. You better tell your sponsors they should sponsor me. No, No, that's really it. We're looking forward to the shows that we've got on now. Our quality shows, the undercard have got quality fights on them. You know, this is what it's all about: delivering for the fans and making meaningful fights, and making fights sometimes. Well, I know we get the complaints on a few fighters, but making fights, you know, allowing us to bring the fighters through at the right level so that they can capitalise on their talents and make big money from them.
Okay, well, Frank Warren, always a pleasure to catch up with you. Thanks for having me down today. If I don't see you before, I will see you in LA. You know all the good places to eat, so I will see you soon.
I will see you when I'm looking at you.
Thanks very much.